Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Caitlin and this is Caitlin K Reads. I realized in my last video I did not introduce myself at all. So, as I said, my name is Caitlin. I'm 24 years old and I currently live in Boston. I grew up in New Jersey and I went to the University of Florida. Go Gators, very big Gator fan. And yeah, those are the quick basic facts about me. I obviously like to read. I am just getting started in my sourdough era, so that's been a lot of fun. I like to color sometimes, watch BookTube, Netflix, crime, docu-series, Gilmore Girls, all of those basic things. So that's just a little bit about me. This video is going to be a continuing series I'm in the middle of, and I'm starting this off with Crown of Midnight, which is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. I just finished reading Throne of Glass, so I'm reading this directly after. I did actually start the series with Assassin's Blade. However, I read that back in January, and I remember it, of course, but I don't remember specific details and whatnot. So I am debating if I want to read it again as the third installment in the book after this or not. But I have a feeling that's kind of been my plan this whole time, but now that it's getting closer, I have a feeling I'm not going to want to do a reread and I'm just going to want to continue. I am about 54 pages into Crown of Midnight so far. Really enjoying it. I'm just continue to love the characters that we've met so far. And I look forward to seeing where the story goes. I would say Throne of Glass, the first book, was fairly basic, like compared to other fantasy series that I've read. And that is no dig to it at all. I still very much enjoyed it. It still gave me everything I wanted and needed out of that book. But there was nothing super special about it yet. So I definitely am looking forward to seeing where this 7-8 book series goes and just what becomes of it and the characters. And yeah, I will keep you updated throughout this book. Hello, it has been a little bit since I last updated you on Crown of Midnight. I am now on page 295 and I am really enjoying this so far. I don't want to talk too much about the plot or what's going on because this is the second book in a series and I don't want to give anything away, but lots has been happening. I will say the first maybe 25 to 30% of this book, I was waiting for something to start happening. I wasn't really seeing the point of the plot too much. But things have definitely started going on. Something pretty big happens about halfway through this book, and I am just really enjoying it. You are finding things out that are definitely going to lead to bigger problems, plot points, excitement, things of that nature. So I am really excited to see that as we're finding these things out, where it's going to take the story. One of the things about these characters is I feel like they, at least for the most part, the characters that we get to see kind of points of view from are all very trustworthy and good people, but I feel like they do so in kind of a private, secretive manner. So people around them don't necessarily know if they can trust them or not, but behind the scenes, they are doing good things. And so I feel like that's just been really interesting throughout, and even to see in the future if we do learn that some of these characters are more evil, mischievous than we thought they were. But I've really been enjoying this. As you may have seen, I did order and receive, what is the next one? Heir of Fire. And I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go straight into that or not. I feel like I've been reading a bit of fantasy recently and could maybe use not a fantasy book, especially since I feel like just the more I get into this series, the more I'm going to want to continue it. And it is an 8-book series. So I don't know if I just want to completely commit myself at this point. And the point of this video is to be reading books to help me finish series. Which, I mean, continuing this series would help me finishing this one. But I did intend for more than just one series to be read in this video. One of the things I'm a little, I don't want to say worried, but maybe worried about in this series is I'm definitely really enjoying the characters that we've been following so far. And I have a feeling that at some point we're going to be following different characters. And this is complete speculation. I really have never known too much about this series and just, where it goes. I've managed to stay very spoiler free, luckily. But I just have an inkling that we do switch characters, which it's a later problem and it's not affecting my enjoyment of this book whatsoever. But I'm really looking forward to continuing. I think I have about 120 to 130 pages left, so maybe I can finish today, either today or probably tomorrow. The thing about having that much left in a book, it's just kind of like, well, if I read 60 of those pages, at that point I'm just gonna want to finish the book. So I guess it just depends how much reading I do today, if at that point I just want to lock in and finish, but we will see. Also, excuse this jungle behind me. I have moved some extra plants into my bedroom because we are starting to get the living room ready for a Christmas tree. We actually were planning on already having our Christmas tree, but the place that we go to buy it was not open yet, unfortunately. That was my bad. Didn't check the website. But I figured I did this work. I'm not putting the plants back. So yeah, just a side note on my Christmas tree. So I wanted to give you guys another quick update before I finish. As you saw, I just had a face mask on, was doing a little relaxing while reading, but I just took that off and it feels so good. I always feel like my face feels cold after a face mask. Anyway, I digress. So Crown of Midnight, I have maybe about 50 pages left. Not much at all. I'm definitely really enjoying the second half a lot more than I did at the beginning. And again, there was nothing wrong with the beginning, but just so much more action has started happening, and I really feel like the fantasy aspects of this world are starting to come out more. And we are really just finding out so much, and it's kind of astounding me at this point because initially you start a series and you're sort of thinking, how does 8 books come out of this? And I'm still thinking that, but we are already getting so much that I'm like, if this is how good the second book is, just how does it continue and continue to improve? So I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm very excited to see how this ends off and if there are any bigger surprises. Huge reveal. You know, I almost never guess plot twists. And I don't know if it's because this was just done really well or if it's a me thing. But regardless, I'm very as you saw, I have literally just finished Crown of Midnight, and this was so good. I can't stress enough how much the second half. Like, once things just start, they continue. And this was so good. There was so much revealed. There's also, I don't think I've mentioned, a love triangle going on. So that's been really fun and exciting. And I don't know how, to be honest, at this point, I don't know how much of a triangle it is. I feel like I want it to still be a triangle because I think I'd prefer the other suitor that could have been. But this was so good. So many twists and reveals and just excitement and action at the end of this book. I really, really enjoyed it so much. I think I'm going to give this a 4.25 stars. I still have yet to decide if I'm going to hop straight into the next one. As much as I enjoyed this, I do think I'm going to take at least a 1-book break to have a little bit of a refresher. I don't want to get tired of this world by any means, and I am just a little worried that the next book is a bit longer and they only get longer from there. But overall, this was so good. I'm so happy that I got to read this book. So far, would completely recommend the Throne of Glass series. I know that's nothing new, but I am really enjoying it. Good morning. I wanted to give a reading update. I believe you saw, but I don't believe I told you, that the next book I decided to read is Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh, which is the 6th book in the Boys of Tommen series. I have had this book came out in like May, and I've been avoiding it for several reasons. I love the Boys of Tommen series, but if you have read it, you know that those books can be quite, not only thick, or lengthy book, but devastating. Really hard topics tend to happen in these books, and they're not necessarily glossed over either. So there was a few reasons I was putting off this book: length, emotional damage that it may cause, and then as well, Lizzie unfortunately has never been my favorite character before starting this book. She had done many things throughout the first 4 books in a series that just didn't make me necessarily love her. But now here comes the update. I'm about 180 pages into this book, and I'm so sorry, Lizzie. Anything that you have said or done, you're forgiven. This book so far has been incredible. It is starting when Lizzie and Hugh are, I mean, at least for Lizzie, it starts when she's like literally 4 years old, and they meet when they're about 6 and 7, I believe. So this is a slow burn story, but despite their young age, unfortunately, so many bad things are already happening to them in their life. Specifically, you know what? I'm not even going to say specifically, because both of them are experiencing very bad things. Don't mind me just switching to my makeup, but that's the thing about this book, is they have so many cute, tender moments between Lizzie and Huey as they're, you know, these children. But then you turn the page and something just absolutely gut-wrenching occurs and sickening. So it's definitely quite a whiplash of emotions and just what's going on with the characters in the story. But as I said, I am loving it. I'm 180-ish pages in, and it's a little over 700 pages. So we definitely still have a lot to get through, and they still, at the point that I'm at, are, I think, 9 and 10 years old. So we'll see how this continues. Wanted to give you guys that quick update, and I will see you when I have more thoughts. Hello, it has been a couple of days since I've updated you on Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. I am now almost done. I'm on page 562, and there's, I believe, 730 pages. So, a good chunk of the way through. This book has been so good, but at the same time, there really are just such dark things that happen in here and can be challenging to read. I would definitely recommend looking up trigger warnings if that's something that you feel is necessary. And I would say definitely, if you feel like maybe you should, then do so before this book, because things aren't only mentioned briefly, they are like, it is a main portion of this book. Hello, it has been a couple of days since I've updated you on Releasing 10. I am now almost done with the book. I have less than 200 pages left, which, I mean, is still quite a lot, but considering how long it is, we're almost there. But I'm really enjoying this book. I will say it is very dark and has some very heavy topics that aren't only briefly discussed, but they are kind of the main point and portion of the book. So just be aware of that going into it. But this is so good. Aside from the dark parts, Lizzie and Hugh just fall in love at such a young age. And so you just see all of this super cute things that come with that. In one scene, Liz runs off to the backyard to kind of try and find a moment of privacy with Hugh. And when Hugh is on his way back, his mom stops him and is like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I just, I forgot something. And she's like, I'm not an idiot. It made me laugh because that is just, a classic 11, 12-year-old and their mother. So yes, I really love this book. I feel like Chloe Walsh's writing as well has improved a lot since Binding 13. That one, as far as I remember, definitely gave more Wattpad vibes, whereas this, I believe, is just more well-written. I'm very curious to see what is going to happen, because if I remember properly from previous books, something needs to happen, but I'm not sure what it will be. There is something that's kind of been a big topic recently going on between Liz and Hugh that I'm a little concerned about when it comes to fruition, if it's just going to trigger some things. So we will see. I'm hoping to probably finish this today. And when I do, this will have caught me up with the Boys of Tommen series. I believe there will still be more. I don't know if that's confirmed. I don't think this is the last one. However, for the books that are out, I will then be caught up. So I've just finished Releasing 10, and oh my gosh, these characters, Lizzie, Huey, it's just, if you have read any Boys of Tommen books, you know how they are not a happy romance by any means. They are full of deep problems and sadness and just really gut-wrenching things. Yeah, I feel like I don't have too much more to say at this point in my review and my thoughts of the book. The ending, I don't want to necessarily call it unsatisfying, but maybe a little bit. And at the end of the book, it did say that another Lizzie Hugh book will be coming out. So, in that regard, it makes sense to leave us wanting more. I definitely am. This was overall a really good book, but just understand what you're going into when you're going into it, and know that you're not going to have a happy, fun time. You're going to be sad for these characters and wanting them to have a better life than what they're necessarily given. And yeah, there are just many frustrating things that occur, but it makes sense for them to occur. You're rooting for the best for them, and the best is not always happening, unfortunately. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. I feel like I'm kind of between probably about a 4.25 stars. I did literally just finish this, so I may end up skewing that a little bit, but I am now completely caught up with the Boys of Tommen series, which is very exciting. I'm not sure if I'm going to start anything immediately right now. I think, however, the next book that I'm planning on starting is a Kindle book, and that is going to be Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is the last book of the Natural series. So if I do choose to go that route next, I will have completed Boys of Tommen and then the Natural series as well. So yeah, I will get back to you when I continue to read. Good morning, it is the next day and I wanted to give a quick update on Bad Blood. I'm reading this on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I believe the entire series is finally. And so that's where I started Bad Blood last night. And I read a bit last night before going to bed and a bit this morning before getting up. But I'm already 95 pages in, which is 25%. And I'm really enjoying this so far. Honestly, I feel like not too much has happened to continue the plot yet. Something like sort of random has occurred. But I honestly forgot how the third book ended. And yeah, there was a lot that we had found out in that book and a lot going on and many new questions that have opened. So I'm excited to really get into the meat of this book and, wrap everything up. And I just love these characters. Let me take a step back. If you don't know what this is about, the Natural series is about a group of teenagers who are about, I believe, 16, 17 years old, and they are recruited to the FBI for this program that is for minors, but it's very low-key, not many people know about it, and it's essentially just these teenagers who have special FBI qualities that would make for really good behavioral analysis type people. Think Criminal Minds, but teenagers. And the main character that we follow, she is a profiler, which basically means she's just really, really good at reading people and reading what their actions really mean and just their thoughts behind it. So getting to read that sort of thing is so cool. I loved Criminal Minds as a TV show, and this really does give you that same sort of vibe. This is a young adult series, so it doesn't get too overly gruesome or anything like that. So not too many updates, but that's what I have for you now. I am really looking forward to see how this series wraps up. I am preparing for a trip to Florida right now to spend Thanksgiving with my mom. So I'm sure I will be getting a lot of reading done at the airport and on the plane. But yeah, I will update you when I have more. There's a character in this series named Sloane, and she is honestly one of my favorite characters, maybe ever. She's really into numbers, and she's so funny with some of the things that she comes out with. And if she realizes that someone is sad or stressed or just worrying about something, her way to make them feel better is spitting out random facts. And so anyway, one of the things that she just said is, "Do you like swings? They're my second favorite use of centripetal force." And that just makes me chuckle because they're my second favorite use of centripetal force. That's hilarious. I don't know what my second favorite is. I'm sorry. Slow. So I ended up binging and finishing Bad Blood, which, like I said, was the last book in the Natural series on my plane ride yesterday. I am down in Florida now visiting my mom for Thanksgiving, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on Bad Blood. So I pretty much read this almost in one sitting, like I said, on the plane. I had started it the night before and in the morning a bit, and this was definitely a really good book, a good finale to the series. I wouldn't say that it was my favorite book of the series, it honestly might be one of my bottom two. There were some aspects to it that I feel like maybe got a little too convoluted and maybe a little confusing, and just so many different names and characters you're meeting. But I just love the main characters that we follow throughout the series, and they are just so funny and like very unique to their personalities, and you definitely saw that shine through this book. But overall, just, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite of the series. The end of the book was surprisingly a bit emotional, but overall I wasn't very pleased with the end of the book and how the series ended. Like on the one hand a bit, but on the other hand, if you've read the series and you know what I'm talking about, no. But on the whole, I would totally recommend that series, and I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad that I read it and read the entire thing and stuck it out. But overall, I'm going to give this book a 3.5 stars. So that was this video of me continuing series I'm in the middle of. I have now officially finished the Natural series. I am completely caught up on the Boys of Tommen series, and I've made headway in the Throne of Glass series. And I was actually just reviewing, and I think at this point I'm only in the middle of 3 series, being Throne of Glass, Beartown, and The Kindred Curse. So not too bad. Hopefully I can knock those off as well so that I can start some new series. But thank you for watching and coming along with me on this journey, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you next time.